Letters of a Peasant Farmer to God. This is an interesting story of a peasant farmer who writes a letter to God when he suffers a loss. He believed that God would surely answer his letter. He had complete faith in God. It was a house. In the verdant valley between the cornfields, there was a small house. Beside the house, a river of clear water flowed continuously with a gentle sound. But the fields were only irrigated by rainwater, this distant. In the secret valley, on a small mound among the fields, was Lencho's house. Lencho had been sitting at the door of his house since morning, his eyes fixed on the sky. At midday, seeing some dark clouds on the northern horizon, he began to wave from the well. The woman leech called her wife. "Look, God is not miserly. His treasure is about to open. If God wills, everything will be all right." The wife replied and closed her eyes again, sleeping soundly. The woods began to blow. "Yes, if God wills," Lencho repeated with a smile, and sniffed at the appetizing smell of food. Lencho's eldest son pulled up the harmful weeds that grew among the crops. He was busy throwing away rubbish, and his young son and daughter were playing in a vacant lot near the house. "Come on, children, dinner is ready," Lencho's wife called out from the doorway, and the whole family. Leaving the leftovers, he gathered at the dining table. During the meal, the windows and doors began to resonate with raindrops. Suddenly, the air turned cold, and darkness enveloped everything. Lencho left the food unfinished in excessive joy. Leaving, he went out humming. He wanted to feel the spray of rain on his body. After a while he returned soaked, his voiceless joy trembling. "These are not raindrops," he pinched his wife's cheek. While filling, he said, "Coins are raining from the sky. Wealth is being showered." He stood for a long time near the well, humming happily as he watched the corn crop enveloped in the mist of torrential rain. But then, suddenly, a swiftness arose in the air. It started raining, and after a few moments, hailstones also started falling with the drops. Children happily shouted and went out of the house to collect hailstones, but deep worry was evident on Lynch's face. The woman, she turned around, and her wife. "You addressed him. This is very harmful." "God, it would be good if you gathered your clouds now." "Yes, it would be good if he gathered them," the wife repeated, picking up the dishes from the table. But it didn't happen. For an hour, hail rained continuously. Gardens, fields, the livestock enclosure, and the roofs of houses were filled with hail. All four directions turned white. It seemed as if an invisible hand had scattered salt over the entire valley. All the trees, the leaves and fruits fell from you. The corn crop was completely destroyed. Lencho's heart was filled with pain and tears welled up in his eyes. When the hailstorm subsided, he addressed his sons. "Even if a locust plague occurs, something or other is saved." But his tone became choked, and he sat down on the wet mud. "But this is complete destruction." After a few moments, he raised his head and said, "This time we will be reduced to begging for every grain." He spoke with deep emotion. It was a cold night. All the family members whispered in disappointed tones until morning. "So much hard work. All in vain, God. Hunger and need until the next harvest. But the sowing of the next harvest is also not possible. Who will come to help in this wilderness? God is you. Yes, God is you. No one dies hungry. That's what they say. No one dies hungry." Lencho listened to everything. He had faith in God. He had heard since childhood that God knows the state of hearts. No one is unaware of the state of someone. How can the one who creates be negligent? Lencho was a man of broad shoulders and a strong body, and from childhood he was accustomed to the fields and tireless work, but he also knew a little reading and writing. The next day he decided that he would write a letter to God. And going to a big village, he wrote a letter, and he himself will put it in the mail. When God created the world, he also takes care of it. How is it possible that Lencho and his innocent children die gasping for breath in this valley, and God sits comfortably? In the evening he started writing a letter in the name of God. "Oh God," he wrote, "if you do not help me and my family, we will have to go hungry this year. I do not shirk work. Send me 1,000 piastres so that I may buy bread. I can sow again. If you wish, I am ready to repay your debt after the harvest. I have eaten halal food. but these hailstones you have showered from the sky." Lencho completed the letter, and on the envelope, he wrote the name on it and went to the big village. Reaching the post office, he bought a ticket, stuck it on the envelope, and put the letter in the box, and happily returned home. When the post office employee saw Lencho's envelope, he stopped while stamping it. He went, and involuntarily began to laugh. After being safe like this for some time, he reached the postmaster's room with the envelope. "Look at this," he said, smiling. "A villager has written a letter in the name of God. Thick, fresh, and cheerful post." He also began to be involuntarily silent after reading the address on the envelope. But then, suddenly becoming serious, he said, "Consider the firmness of faith. The one who wrote this letter, how much trust does he have in God? I wish I were so optimistic. It is a blessing to have such faith in the existence of God." The postmaster did not want to disappoint such a simple-minded and devout person, so he decided that he would reply to this letter. But after reading the letter, he found out that something. And to answer, it requires not only a little time and a paper and pen, but also 1,000 piastres. However, the postman remained firm in his decision. He put 300 piastres from his salary, and for the remaining amount help was sought from all the post office staff. And they were explained that there could be no greater act of charity. To keep the faith of a man of faith is a great virtue. In 2 days, 700 pigeons were collected with him. Sari put the money in an envelope, wrote the name of the Lencho Valley on it, and kept it with him. In the letter inside the envelope, he only wrote this much: "From God." A week later, when Lencho came to the post office to inquire about his mail, the postman handed him the envelope himself. Seeing this, everyone was surprised that Lencho was not at all surprised to receive the letter. He wasn't surprised. He went outside the post office, sat on a stone, and calmly counted the notes. After completing the calculation, he got angry. The question of a mistake from God doesn't even arise. So how did 700 become 1,000? Lencho returned to the post office, and using the paper and pen lying on the official desk, he began to write another letter. During the writing of the letter, his forehead remained constantly furrowed. He was very angry. Having completed the letter, he came to the window. He bought a ticket, wetted it with his tongue, and stuck it to the envelope with a smack, putting it in the box. Then, shaking his hands, he went out. As soon as Lencho went out, the postmaster opened the box and took out the envelope. The letter said, "Oh, God, I had asked for 1,000 victories. Only 700 reached me. Send me the remaining amount as soon as possible, but this time, absolutely not by post. It seems that everyone employed in the post office are thieves. I don't trust them. Absolutely no credibility. Your servant Lencho." Lencho made it clear in his letter to God that he believed the post office employees had embezzled the money. He had faith in God, but the dishonesty of the world had made him. He tried to sue. He thought that if he didn't get 1,000 pures as a result of his trust, it was certainly the work of the post office bandits. After that, Lencho wrote another letter in which he sued God. He requested that the remaining money be sent directly to him. He did not want the post office employees to obstruct or betray him again. A few days later, Lencho went to the post office again with hope. 1. His heart was pounding, but he thought that somehow God. When he arrived there, he checked his mail. He received another envelope, which this time was from God. It said, "My understanding may be weak, but I have no interest in the money sent to you. B. No one did anything about the amount of money. Keep your thoughts moderate and don't throw your faith on others after today." Lencho was surprised. He thought that if God could not help him, on the other hand, there are more questions and doubts above. He understood that his help might actually come from elsewhere, and he admitted that his faith should also be an individual truth in humanity. Leçon. Faith. The importance of faith. Lencho showed that along with faith, humans also need to understand the realities of the world. Faith does not mean that we ignore the world's injustices, people's thoughts in the world. It has been taught that it is also necessary to trust the intentions of others, but we must also test their realities. 3. Seeking help. Sometimes, we feel hesitant to seek help. Lencho has a request for help, which is a positive aspect, but we should understand that help sometimes comes only through worldly humans. 4. Results of perception. Whatever it may be, we face our daily problems with our one should have a correct understanding of intentions and actions, not just rely on hope. This story tells us that we should bring both faith and reality into our actions at the same time in our lives.